that Europeans had to develop new sophisticated mental inventions that allowed this all to go down. The popular story that they were telling themselves at this time was that all civilization could be ranked according to the level of development. And look, according to this analysis, they placed themselves at the top. And they could tell themselves very easily that they were the enlightened people of the world. This new colonizing story was the most sophisticated and tantalizing yet, and it's one that's still kind of embedded in a lot of our brains still. That the enlightened civilization had a burden to bring civilization to the rest of the world. And for that, they kind of needed to stay on top and control. And the reason why this story was so believable and tantalizing is because at this time, it was being blended with actual real objective science that was being done by Europeans, like this guy, Charles Darwin, someone who changed the way that we think about the natural world. He just put out a book about how animals evolve into hierarchies with different capabilities and traits. Well, if that applies to all animals, then it must apply to humans themselves and their societies and their civilizations. So then they go out into the field with their maps and they start gathering observations that confirm this story. And soon they're measuring people's skulls all around the world. They're keeping notes, they're developing theories and terms, they're writing academic papers, all of this to define a pretend set of pseudoscientific ideas. The idea that we're all part of a different race, all with different natural capabilities. And that is what must explain why some people have the resources and the technology and others do not. Like the previous stories that Europeans told themselves, this one was intoxicating. Think of all the generations that passed where this story could be ingrained into the minds of the people. But again, remember that I'm not saying that these Europeans are telling themselves this story every day. We're now talking about the great-great-great-grandchildren of the original colonizers. The individual people didn't have the grand plan in mind to go carve up Africa. They were just responding to what they knew, what they'd been told was real, what they wanted to believe. It was a way of life. It was a way of thinking. And if we think that we're somehow exempt from a similar type of mental model that we don't see, but that dictates our behavior, we're tricking ourselves. I mean, listen to one of these British imperialists, Cecil Rhodes. He says, "We happen to be the best people in the world, with the highest ideals of decency and justice, liberty and peace. And the more of the world we inhabit, the better it is for humanity." Okay, Cecil has made up his mind.